Now the big summer story, or the big saga of this transfer window, Declan Rice has moved to Arsenal. Seems to be like very much now coming towards its conclusion now with the fee and the structure being agreed between both clubs. It gives West Ham now the chance to actually start moving forward, planning for next season, and it gives us fans a bit of relief and something to look forward to. Now, losing Declan, obviously, is so painful. And we talked about it so much now. I mean, not just on this channel, but I'm just talking about in general West Ham. It's everywhere, isn't it? It's all we seem to be chatting about because it is the main story, it is the big thing. And I get that. But there's more things to be excited about, I find. You know, yes, it's sad to lose a player. Of course it is. Someone like Declan, who's been such a great player for West Ham. And not only that, come through the academy, you know, club captain and all these things. He is an integral player. There's no two ways about it, you know, in terms of his importance to the club. But I will go and say that, like I have said previously, is that I actually think this will be a good thing for West Ham. I really do in the long run. Look, I know people will think, especially Arsenal fans and who are like, oh yeah, you're going to say that, aren't you? You know, but I'm just talking about in general sense here. If West Ham get this transfer window right, I've actually got confidence we'll do well because of the people who've now got involved and things like that. If we get this right in terms of how we utilise this money, West Ham will come out of this a much stronger outfit. There's no two ways about it. We've actually done that before previously. I won't talk about it again, but I did give a story about Julian Dix before, but very similar to when we sold him to Liverpool. It was a good move for West Ham. And I genuinely think that is going to be the case with the Declan Rice situation. Look, it's going to be sad to see him go. Of course it is. But we've known about this for a while. It's not as if this is one that's been sprung upon us. This isn't a pie yet. We didn't wake up one day to hear Declan Rice wanted out. We've known about this for about 2 years, that Declan this is most likely going to be the summer he went. So, and good luck to him. And let's just talk about it quickly. As the deal was £105 million, 100 million plus £5 million in add-ons. And what I understand it's going to be paid over 2 years. I think there's going to be a big lump paid up front. And then the next 24 months will be the other instalments, like 3 more instalments. So I've got to say, before we go into talking about other things that are a bit more interesting than selling Declan Rice, is that fair play to David Sullivan, actually. I think he's handled it really, really well. And you know, there's a lot of time he gets a lot of criticism, Sullivan, and including from myself. So I've actually got to say I think we've handled this very, very well. We've been very strong against with Arsenal. We've made it very clear our demands, and we've stuck to it. And I think that's a good piece of business done by Sullivan there. And I'm sure you'll join me in this. I'm relieved. I just want to see the back of it. I'm not going to like seeing a Declan in an Arsenal shirt, but to be honest, I don't really care that much anymore. I just kind of want to just focus on West Ham. Because Declan isn't part of that soon, you know what I mean? He's not going to be part of West Ham. I don't really care about Declan after that. Not in a horrible sense, don't get me wrong. I'm not being nasty, but I'm just thinking about selfishly. I think about West Ham. I'm thinking about our future, our season, and what we can do next year. We've got Europa League football. I want to do well in that. So, Declan's not a part of that now. So I'm just really glad that we're sort of seeing the back of it. So I actually got to say, I think it was a good deal for all parties. Arsenal got who they wanted. Let's make no mistake, Arsenal will be a much stronger outfit for having Declan in the side. No two ways about it, and they will be challenging, I'm sure, for the title. So good luck to him for that regard, because he's an amazing player. And yeah, overall, I think we can draw a line under it, and I'll be really pleased. It looks like it's going to be sort of concluded, I think, by sort of Sunday, Monday. I think the medical's Friday, so I'm talking about it probably a couple of days. So probably Sunday, I reckon Declan will be in an Arsenal shirt and it'll all be done. But let's just focus now on West Ham and what we're going to be doing. Thank you for your messages, by the way, about me being a bit under the weather. I do appreciate it. And I also want to just say the comments we've been getting in our, from our videos, they've been really good and really some good debates going on. And I do like it. And I read them all. So like, if you don't think I am, and I will go back to respond as many as I can. But I like it because it actually gives me more food for thought, because a lot of you do bring up other angles of things and do remind me of certain things that have happened. And because I'm just a fan, so I'm only just going to say what I feel. And it's nice sometimes to get a bit of good debate going on, some really interesting comments. So yeah, do keep them coming. It does mean a lot. And of course, I know we've asked it before, but look, if you're not a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. Just click on the subscription on our page, on our channel, and come on this journey with us, because we've got a really, really exciting summer coming up. Not just for West Ham, I'm talking about in terms of bringing players in. That's great. I'm talking about us as a channel. We've got tons of new content coming up. We've got some live watch alongs for next season, live reaction things, and we want to get the fans more involved. And of course, we're going to be giving away a West Ham top, home or away, whatever you wish, to a fan every month for the whole season. So all you got to do is click subscribe, as I say, and it's free. So do that. Right, let's go on to some interesting topics now, which is West Ham's defensive midfielder video. This is what I want to focus on. I want to focus on who are we bringing in to replace Declan Rice? Who is going to be the midfielder that's going to be partnering Lucas Paqueta next season in the heart of the midfield? It's a real big one. At the end of the day, you're never going to be able to replace Declan Rice. You're not going to be able to go to market and go, let's just go and get another one of them. But what you can do, as I've talked about before, is that what West Ham can do is go and buy a very, very good midfielder. If you can get a midfielder that can say, right, I can come in and do what Declan did, 80% of what he could do at his level, I could do that. That's a really good find. You go, that is a very good midfielder. And then you can then go and strengthen elsewhere, which is what West Ham need to do. So we've got to focus on that position, really. Who are you bringing in? Tim Steidton or Steeton, I still haven't quite worked out how to pronounce his name yet, is obviously going to be a key person in all of this in terms of our recruitment, who we're going to be going for. There's a few players. There's three main players on the list. There's three main players. And I'm not saying that we're going to get only one of them, but that appears to be that there's three top defensive midfield targets that West Ham are going for. The first one is Edson Alvarez. We did a video on him previously. We said it at the time that we were the front runners for his signature. And that was the case. And people have said, no, that we weren't. We were the front runners for his signature. The problem was we didn't like the amount of money that was being touted about for him. That was what put us off. We weren't convinced on that. That's what we were told anyway. It's what XWH employee reported. And effectively, we walked away from the deal. Said, okay, we're not really interested because we could realistically, because of his interest in the interest from Borussia Dortmund, who they were looking to bring him in, we could probably outmuscle them financially to get any signature. So that we didn't. I think that we always felt that if we wanted him, we could get him, but we decided not to. Now, obviously, the big twist in all of this is now the deal to Dortmund has completely collapsed. I don't really know the reasons. It's obviously financial. Well, I won't say obviously, but that's what I believe it to be. It's financial. And West Ham now are looking again to go and speak to Ajax and talk and see if we could do a deal. So I believe, from what I understand, he's our number one target, effectively. Well, was our number one target. Whether he is now, I'm not sure. But this is certainly one that we need to keep an eye on. XWH employee just recently put an update on it and said that inquiries are now, the preliminary talks are beginning regards to Alvarez. So that's a really, really good one. I really like this guy, actually. I've watched a few of his clips now, and I know that can sometimes be a little bit misleading. I think when you go on YouTube, do the old, let's look at their season highlights, because let's be honest, only going to pick out the best bits. But I do like the look of him. I will say I do think he's a good player, and I like his backstory. If you read up on the guy, I'm not going to go through it now, but his history in terms of South America, where he's come from, he's a very humble guy, worked so hard to become a professional footballer. I just think it just, I don't know, it's got a decent feel to it, a real tough upbringing, and he's worked hard to get where he is, and I don't know, I just like that. And of course, as well, what really excites me, if this is the case, it's going to be partnering Paqueta, both South American, both similar, a bit tough, and get stuck in, and I don't know, you just get the feeling that could be a good combination. So look, we're just talking about this. I'd like to know, give your thoughts on what you think about these players are. As I say, I do read the comments. So if you've got anything you want to suggest or bring to my attention and bring up for discussion, then do so, because it's always good for in terms of the channel and everything else, and get everyone else involved. So yeah, Alvarez is a big target for West Ham. I would not be surprised if we put an offer in soon for him. The other one's Palhinha from Fulham. This one's a strange one for me. It's been going on for quite a while. I get the impression, and from what I'm reading from reports, etc., is that I think the player would favour a move to West Ham. I think he'd be up for it. I was seeing he was voted player of the season last year for Fulham, and that in itself, I mean, that shows you he's a good player. I think he's got my only concern was brought to my attention was his discipline. He gets booked quite a hell of a lot, which is a bit of a concern, but he does get stuck in. I like the look of the player. I do like the look of him. It's whether we can get a deal arranged with Fulham. I think that could be the big issue. Is Fulham now which a lot of clubs are measuring, annoyingly, the Declan Rice sale to their player. So I think some teams get a little bit what's the word? They kind of take they don't, they're not looking at things correctly. They're looking at Declan Rice and going, well, he's a defensive midfielder. He's gone for 105. Well, he must be worth 80 then. You know, it's like, well, no, hang on. It doesn't quite work that way. Declan Rice isn't just a good defensive midfielder. Not only that, he's world class, but he's also a leader. You know, very, very. He's a game changer, isn't he? The way he carries teams, and he's not just a defensive midfielder. He does everything else. He scores goals when he wants to. He's a good player all round. So I do get a bit annoyed when people go, "Oh, he's decent enough, so he can be kind of in that same bracket," which unfortunately we're going to get. So I think the asking price for Polina is the issue. It looks to be the stumbling block. Interestingly, though, Steidson apparently is a keen admirer of him. So that could be interesting. As I've said, I think the player wants to move. So again, all of these players I'm mentioning, Alvarez and now Polina, West Ham are making inquiries about, and the preliminary talks are beginning. This is what we're hearing from XWH employee. So either of these players could be joining. The other one, the player I want to talk about, which we have done a video previously, which I think's the more likely, if I had to pick, if I had to, place my money on who I think we would end up getting, is Zakaria from Juventus. Previously on loan last season at Chelsea. I think what we're hearing from West Ham side of it, and this is from X again, is that it's going to be a loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy. That was a similar situation at Chelsea. Now, I don't know. I mean, I get that. I mean, it makes more sense, but I always a bit reluctant with these things. I don't know. There's something that doesn't. I don't know. I don't get overly excited when I hear that loan. We might buy them, and I don't know. I'm not overly excited by it at the moment. I've got to be honest. I'd be hopeful that if we really want a player, I want a player that's, we've got a battle to get a little bit. It feels like on loan because we just desperately want to get rid of him. All right, you can have the option to buy, and it's going to be for something like 12 to 15 million. It doesn't scream that you're picking up a really exceptional player, does it? But that's not to say like I'm not trying to be snobby here, but I just don't know. If I want to get this completely right, well, I want to. We've got to. West Ham have got to get this replacement of Rice completely spot on. Zakaria is the only one at the moment that makes me go a bit okay. Well, I'm not convinced. I'm not sure. I've seen some clips of him. I saw him play for Chelsea. Seems a good player, but again, as I say, there's a few question marks there for me. But if I had to pick who I think we'd end up getting, that's what I imagine we'd end up doing. Maybe I'm wrong. But Zakaria of Juventus is the key. Is one of the three. So you're looking at Alvarez, Polina, or Zakaria. They're the kind of three at the moment they're looking at as defensive midfield recruitments for this summer. There are others. There are other players that we should be getting excited about and starting to think about. I mean, Harvey Barnes is the most likely, I think, signing so far this summer, and that I've got to be honest is probably the one on the top of my list. Really, really excites me. Harvey Barnes, a great player, and I think would be a real statement of intent from West Ham, especially after losing Declan. I think that would, just send the right message. You bring a very top player there, beating the likes of Newcastle. I think Tottenham are in for him. So to get someone to play like of his caliber into West Ham, whether we will or not, I'm not saying we will, but I get the feeling that's more likely at the moment. Also, James Ward-Prowse, did mention him a few times previously on this channel. I like Ward-Prowse. I've got no problem with him. I know some fans feel a little bit annoyed. We're going to talk about another video tomorrow evening. James Ward-Prowse is going to come up in that. It's regarding Flynn Downs. So I'll probably have a slight different spin on it then, a little bit for a different view. But I'm just talking about in general about James Ward-Prowse. I actually think he offers a lot. I think he's a decent player. And I certainly wouldn't have a problem coming to West Ham. But do I think he should come in and be a defensive midfielder? No, I don't. I don't think that's what we want. Personally, I think we need a real proper strong candidate to go in there because it's a big role to fill here, Declan. And I'm not convinced on Ward-Prowse being that person. But certainly Harvey Barnes, I would be very happy to get to play on the left hand side. Final thoughts on this. Look, losing Declan's a sad time for the club. There's no two ways about it. But these are exciting times for West Ham. I don't care what anyone says, they are. To have this amount of money coming in for one player, bearing in mind this is an academy player, we haven't had to spend out a load of money to get Declan. It gives West Ham a lot of opportunity. A lot. We've got a new director of football. Well, director of football, what's he called now? Sporting director. Is that right? Sporting director? I think so. What might be sporting director? Technical director. Sporting director is Mark Noble. Technical director Tim Steidson. So I'm excited for that. I actually do. I'm optimistic about this summer. I know fans are getting a little bit restless. I get that, but look, some of the deals, it's only early days. A lot of the deals still haven't got to be done yet. Let's not panic. We did this last season and the same thing. So I'm going to not go down that path of, oh my God, we haven't signed a player yet. It must be a disaster. I don't think we need to worry. I'm confident that West Ham will do pretty well this summer. I really do. I think we'll be. I'm confident we're going to be a stronger outfit. I really do. I don't think we're going to have a similar season by batting relegation. I don't see it. I think we're going to have a good season. I'm optimistic. I'm going to try and stay on the optimistic side. Okay. Our team, our new team of Steidson, got Noble in there, and obviously Moyes. They've got the money to play with now. And I think now we've got the Declan Rice money secured, apart from he's got to do obviously his medical and everything else. Now that's in the bank effectively. You'll see West Ham really push on. And I think the next few weeks are going to be very exciting for us. Look, I know I might be, got Claret and Blue tinted glasses on here and I do get like that over the summer, but I genuinely do believe, although this has been a sad time for West Ham, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about, and I am convinced that we are going to be much, much stronger for the sale of Rice, and we'll be much stronger next season.